Hello my beautiful Geekable members and welcome to the Little Mermaid spoiler review. It is my first spoiler review ever. And you guys are the first to experience the spoiler review with me. I am totally winging this. I have never done this before. I really just want to ramble and tell you how much I loved it in bits and pieces, but at the same time I found a full recap. I'm muting it because I really just want the clips of the movie so that we can talk about it. I'm gonna tell you that you all know, by now I think you all know how much I love Little Mermaid, and I think you all know how much I loved the new Little Mermaid, because Halle, truly phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. It was everything I ever wanted it to be. It was more than I could have hoped for. I was in a little AMC theater in PA outside of Philly. I'm not from Philly. I don't live in Philly. I'm originally from Queens, New York. I live in Maryland. You could probably still hear the Queens accent. We don't talk about that. But I was in PA for a Comic-Con that weekend. Thiggetum was happening and I was going to see Little Mermaid before it started. I didn't even stop to get popcorn. And I'm a snacks in the movie theater kind of person. Yeah, because you have to have snacks. I didn't even care. Walked over to the concession stand. I grabbed more tissues because I knew I was going to need them. And I got my little butt into the theater. And I sat down in the reclining chair in the 3D theater. Thank you guys, because that's because of you. Because that would not have happened if it wasn't because of you guys. And I leaned back and the lights dimmed and the tears started. And I went, because it was really happening. It was really happening. I have no idea what I'm doing, but I'm chatting and we're gonna talk about it. The movie started, and I'm gonna say, for my first impression right off the bat, the fact that it started with the crashing waves of the ocean and it wasn't a calm sea was a really big deal to me. I was like, okay. I wasn't trying to compare with the cartoon versus the movie. I was really just there for the experience. And I liked that touch. I liked that the ocean was not calm. I liked that it was moving and there were waves, and it was the impact of it, because you're seeing the surface of the water. You're seeing Eric's side, not Ariel's side. But at the same time, you're seeing Ariel's side too, because how ferocious and how unforgiving the ocean can be. Like it's really a big deal. And then they cut right into the boat. And I expected to hear, I'll tell you a tale of the bottomless sea. And I didn't hear it. So I was like, all right, I'm watching. Instead, they jump right in with Eric. And I like how they jump right in with Eric, because Eric, they're showing us he's a sailor. He ain't just some prince. He's not all like, princely and he can't get his hands dirty. No, he's pulling line. He's jumping from, he's climbing the mast. He's doing all the things. And I'm like, all right, this is the first note I'm getting him. Like, they're giving him more depth, which they really did in the movie, which made me happy. I'm going to press play real quick and we're going to watch a little bit of the beginning, and then I'm going to talk a little bit more into the next scene. But the opening scene, I was happy. See, look at the waves crashing, and it's just like, and you see a little bit of her tail, and then you see her sister, and then it's just like, they're sailors. They're old, the old, like, I don't know, I think it's age, so yes. And he's like so excited to see new things, and he's like, he's good at it. That was important to me. He was looking like walking, like, yeah, it was a big deal. That was a big deal. All right, I'm gonna pause it here real quick. They're trying to harpoon the mermaid, but he's like, it's a dolphin. He's just, because he doesn't believe in it. Well, he didn't believe in it. He's looking for a great wonder. Yeah. My geekables. We jump into Ariel. I'm gonna skip here a little bit. We jump into her sisters. I want to talk about how beautiful her sisters are. First of all, I like that there's no seashells, because if you think about the seashells, it actually kind of bothers me, because like, how are they really staying on? Like, that's something I really shouldn't. Like, they did scales and made them actual part fish, not just from the waist down. Like, they're part fish. Like, the scales are around them. Even if you looked at Ariel, did you see the detail? She was glittering because she had scales on her skin. Like, they did it. The detail was immense. It was just beautiful to me. We go through, you know, there was a lot less singing than it, like, they took a lot of the singing, you know, the concert was different. It was more of a get together for a ceremony. I liked it. I liked he introduced each one of them like he did that they did in the movies, but they introduced them differently. I liked that they talked about each one's from, you know, the 7 seas, and which sea that they're under, over, and they watch over. I'm not sure if I like this clip, so I'm gonna jump through it. Being chased by sharks, that was classic. It was good. Flounder, we're gonna talk about Flounder later. Triton was fantastic. I'm jumping on purpose. Okay, so we get to Ariel is in the little dinghy, and she's on a boat for the first time, and she sees Eric. She sees Max, and Max sees her, and he's loving her, and he's kissing her, and he's nuzzling her. And first of all, I love Max. I've always loved Max, but I love Max even more. And she sees Eric, and it's not that she sees him. She's listening to him. She's listening to him talk about, you know, pretty much the same thing she wants. More to discover things, to see things, to know new worlds. And it's like they established a connection between Ariel and Eric that they didn't really establish in the cartoon. The animated version did not establish why they loved each other. They didn't establish what it was, other than the fact that he was just this beautiful human and she was this beautiful mermaid, and they never established that there was actually a connection. So this part, the fact that they did that in this movie, that they gave Eric actual character, they gave him depth. Like, I liked him in this movie. I liked who he was. I liked the fact that he was an orphan that was taken in by a king and queen. I liked that he wanted to be a sailor and wanted to go and look around the great beyond and see what was out there and was new things and was excited. I loved the scene where I'm jumping. Let me go back. Let me go back. We're back. We're at the boat. We're at the boat getting destroyed. Fireworks. Well, not even fireworks. Fire sets out. Storm at sea. The touch that they added that was perfect to me is Ariel saved Max. Ariel helped Max into you know, get out of the water, and that was a perfect touch because Max already loved her. So she wasn't, and she didn't even let Max drown because she knew, like, this isn't, Max is important to him. Max loves me, even though she didn't know that yet. But, you know, this little animal's been good to me. I'm gonna save him, and she saved him. And that was huge. That was a huge deal to me. Huge deal to me. I did laugh after knowing after that that Jonah actually sank like a stone. So when he does actually fall in the water, he's actually not having a problem sinking. He's just sinking. I'm gonna clip a little bit so we can see a little bit of the fire. I was very upset that Max was on the fire, but we know he gets saved. Falls over, boat breaks, jumping. She saves him. She sings to him, and the way that they shot the sun block her out was just great cinematography. I thought so. Her voice is killer. We know her voice is beautiful. Here is our girl, Ursula. Can we all take a moment and just give Melissa McCarthy her props? Because she killed this role. She killed this role. For a woman who was nervous to sing, for a woman who wanted to live up to the part, Ariel's auntie, she did a great job. They touched on parts of the fact that she's been in isolation so long that she started talking to her own tentacles, which I thought was a very good touch and hilarious. Probably my favorite part was she was like, why does everyone keep moving my things? And she was like, oh, because it's her moving her things, which I think is hilarious. The scene where, the queen, Eric's mother, the queen, beautiful touch, love her. I was very happy about the regal royalty, just everything everything. They gave him a parent. He didn't have a parent. They never talked about it. And she was wonderful. She was wonderful. I loved her. I loved her. Loved her outfits. Just loved her aura in general. Loved it. I want to jump to where Ariel meets Eric in his, I guess his cove with his collectibles and his, you know, his thingamabobs. And she's looking around and she's like, I have things in common with this guy. And she picks up the Little Mermaid and he goes, that's my Little Mermaid. And I melted. I absolutely melted in that moment because I was like, yeah, she is. I absolutely melted in that moment. It was so well done. Wow. See, I'm talking this way because at this point, I'm figuring everybody who's here is watching this has seen it. So you know the parts I'm talking about. So I'm just giving you my feelings on the pieces and the you know, the parts that I was, that I loved. I love that Ursula came to Ariel in a bubble at first instead of, you know, Fletsman Jetsam speaking. I know they took it away, but I like that she came in a bubble. I jumped back. Eric and Ariel. They made the love story believable. I mean, we were kids with the animated series. So, not series, but the animated version. So the love story was believable there because we were kids. But as a, you know, a 43-year-old woman, it's a lot more believable now when they have something in common, when he has more depth to him, when she's not just looking to leave the ocean because she fell in love. She's looking because she wants more. She's looking for more. She wants to experience things that are beyond the sea. You know, it made it more believable. And yeah, it's a fairy tale, I know, and that's not how people fall in love. It's not, you know, nobody falls in love in 3 days. But it made it more believable why there was a connection, why they felt for each other, why it was, you know, I liked it. I really, truly thought it was a good thing. My only gripe with the whole movie, the only gripe, is the amount of times Flounder was out of that ocean. I'm not sure how he's alive. That is literally my only gripe with the whole thing. I pressed the I believe button. I was like, I know he technically hasn't been out of water very long, but he's out of the water so often that I'm like, he actually would be dead. He would be dead. Granted, I'm glad he's not. I thought the added songs were good. I enjoyed the added songs. I enjoyed the Aquafina song was cute. Wasn't my favorite at first, but it was cute because of the lyrics. I thought that she did a really good job as a lyricist in there. And I know she didn't write. I don't think she wrote it. I think Lin-Manuel wrote it, but she pulled it off well. I think she pulled it off well. I cried. Oh my God, did I cry? Ooh, I gotta chill. Oh my God, did I cry? How many times did I cry? We can count. Ready? I cried through the opening scene. I cried when we saw her sisters for the first time. I cried when she saved Max. I cried when she sang Part of Your World. I cried during Poor Unfortunate Souls. What are we at? 7? I cried during Kiss the Girl. I cheered when she kicked Vanessa's ass. I was so happy that there was a cat fight and she kicked her ass. That was beautiful. Instead of Scuttle pulling the chain, it was her. Made me so happy. Made me super happy. Jury's still out. I do like Eric's song. I just have to hear it more. I like it. I'm not in love with it yet. I love it, but not in love with it yet. So I have to hear it a couple more times. I think we're at 8. I cried when Eric realized it was her and she heard her voice, and right before they kissed, I cried there. When we have to take a moment. When they killed Triton, I was like, holy shit, what are we doing? I almost had a gripe because I was like, you deviated, you killed him because he disappeared. He didn't turn into the little Poor Unfortunate Soul. He just was dust in the ocean. And I was like, holy crap, he's sea particles. what do we do? He see particles. What do I do? What do I do? So when he came back to life, I cried because I was like, oh, thank God. Because I was like, that would have probably really upset me in the movie because I would have been like, oh my God, that's not a change I would have been necessarily as on board with. But he's alive. And the way that I sobbed, and I sob in the original version when this happens, when Triton comes out of the ocean and he hugs her and she says, I love you. And I sob like a child. And that was no different this time. Triton came out of the ocean. They told each other that, you know, she said, I love you. All of the mer people came out and all of the mer people are there. And I am sobbing uncontrollably because I'm emotional and I love it. And they did it beautifully. And I was actually at the point where you guys saw me right out of the theater, but I had tried to record the first time, but I was just staring at the camera because there was no words that came out in any way, shape, or form. I know we were supposed to do more video, but I just ended up talking, so I'm probably just gonna I'm just gonna keep going there. The way I cried coming out of that theater is yeah. You think I cried in these videos? I was my shirt was soaked from the tears because I was sobbing. I tore tissues because they were all wet. My theater was pretty empty. It was me and my friend, and then there were like 2 people behind me and 3 people behind me. And as they left, the movie ended and she went, period. And I went, yes. And she walked out and she was dancing with her friends, and I was crying and I'm dancing. Yeah. There isn't anything I can say that was bad about this movie. And it's not just because I'm partial to it because it's The Little Mermaid. But it's because it really... Little Mermaid is a really big deal to me. It always has been. I think you guys know that by now. And I actually got to see a live action version of my favorite childhood movie. Like, they made mermaids real. It wasn't a cartoon. It wasn't animated. I saw a person. I saw a girl as a mermaid. Like, actually was under the ocean with her, and I felt like I was there with her. And you know, what do you do with that? You can't recreate that. That's like, and they recreated it. They made it live action, and it's one of the movies you look at and like, they can never recreate that. How could you recreate that? And the power of CGI and animators and movie magic, and they brought it to life. And I loved it. Absolutely loved it. So I hope that my spoiler review was everything you'd want a spoiler review to be. It was my first. I don't really know. I know it was jumbled. I did take notes. I tried to be organized, but it was never going to happen. I tried to record this a million times, and the reality is I just had to talk to you guys about it. Because, yeah, it was a big deal to me. I love each and every one of you. Thank you for joining. Thank you for watching along. Thank you for being here for my spoiler review, and do everything today with love. Every day's a geek day. And, you know, maybe we should extend Mermaid a little bit. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.